This is uh, the 28th or 29th of September 2021, and I'm outside Edward House, Key Place, Edward Street, Birmingham, B1 2RA. I'm outside the offices of the UK Legal Ombudsman. The UK Legal Ombudsman. These are a redress service that are supposed to come to the aid of clients of solicitors who have been failed by those solicitors, failed, cheated, mistreated, things like that. I have experienced the services of this legal ombudsman, and I found them to be utterly corrupt, evil, nasty, completely lacking in empathy of people that are suffering, that have already been abused by crooked solicitors. Because the UK, the English solicitor profession, is utterly corrupt. Utterly corrupt. And this fraudulent pretend redress service is a part of the way whoever set it up, linked to government, mocks the victims of these crooked solicitors. It's such a crooked profession. It's such a crooked profession. Crooked, utterly corrupt, utterly crooked, utterly corrupt, utterly crooked, utterly corrupt, utterly crooked, utterly corrupt, utterly crooked, evil profession that is entrenched in the crookedness and the evil for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years. This solicitor's profession has been crooked like this, crooked. This profession has thousands of victims in their wake that they have defrauded of thousands of pounds. Criminal behaviour, stealing property. I've heard of wills and probate solicitors that have stolen property from those that they did wills for. Stolen property, embezzled, and then fought tooth and nail the beneficiary when the beneficiary has tried to fight for what they're trying to steal from them. This legal profession, English legal profession, is extremely Masonic. There's a book about Freemasons called The Brotherhood by Stephen Knight, where he says that the Law Society is one of the most Masonic organizations, not even in England, in the world. The Law Society is the English solicitors and barristers club. It's their club. And yet, the government allows the solicitors club, which is them, to regulate themselves. So the government and the royalty fully endorse the corruption and fully enable it. And this Legal Ombudsman is one of the organisations that they've pretended to set up to as a form of redress. It gives no redress whatsoever, none. It's an absolute fraud, an absolute crooked fraud. The Legal Ombudsman, utter crooks. I myself have been caused much distress when I went to this Legal Ombudsman. I've been caused much distress. This is, this is part of the office. I felt the need to go to them because my mother died leaving a will where she named me on paper, on the will, an executor of the will, along with a younger brother, a British Transport Police officer, and an uncle, one of my mum's brothers, who was living in England at the time. This brother, a so-called British Transport Police officer, a pillar of society, supposedly. This crook of a brother used fraud and committed perjury with the Manchester High Court of Justice in order to remove, exclude, sideline me as an executor behind my back. He had his hand on my mum's papers. He handed those papers over to a firm called Geddy and Sons without my consent, without consulting me, without my knowledge. And he and solicitors from that firm and his sister-in-law, basically committed fraud and perjury to exclude me from involvement in my mother's will without my signature, selling property without my signature, without my consent, without my permission. And the brother was very nasty in the way he did all this. He cut off contact with me, and he got this firm Geddy and Sons. I live in London, but this firm Geddy and Sons, they're not from anywhere near London. They're from the northwest of Cumbria. So he got them to act in a hostile and nasty way to me. I was invited by one of the solicitor owners of this firm to a meeting room in London because they had some desk space in London. I was abused, threatened, lied to, defrauded, manipulated in that office by a solicitor who's not even from London, and a solicitor who is white and I'm black. How does that look? It looks racist to me. It doesn't only look crooked, fraudulent, evil, unlawful, it also looks racist. He's from an area that is all white. I never met the man before in my life, and I've never seen him since then. And my life has been hell since meeting this man, where he invited me with the purpose of defrauding me and abusing me. So because of this, I needed to go to the Legal Ombudsman. But from the time I first went there, time I first went there, it was made difficult for me. From the time I first went there, the first contact I had, that it was very negative. I was told, oh, we probably won't find in your favour. You haven't even looked at the case and you're saying that. Why do you invite people to come to you and then the first thing you say, oh, we probably won't find in your favour? That's crookedness and fraudulent right there. Because you're welcoming people, and then when people come to you, you're being the opposite of how you're supposed to be. And the first response I got from the investigator was extremely negative. She wrote me and told me I was out of time to even make a complaint. That's how she responded to me. So from the beginning, she was looking for a way to avoid even dealing with me. That's how they do. That's how other people that I've gone to them have also said. That was my experience. The first thing they do when you go to them, this is the building here. This is the building here. This is Edward Street. The first thing they do is discourage you and put you off. And by the time you come to them, by the time I came to them, I was already deeply troubled, deeply distressed, because I had been suffering at the hands of my brother and these evil solicitors, especially the one that invited me and abused me. I'm not supposed to give his full name on YouTube. It said don't give full names, so I can give his first name, Richard, and he's an owner director. So I was told I was out of time. I was told I was actually out of time. I was told I was out of time. When I wasn't out of time, I contacted them on the day of the deadline. But then the time I called, they happened to close earlier than they're supposed to. So then she used that against me, and I then had to obtain my phone records from my phone operator, send them back to this investigator, and wait for a month in distress and anxiety before they would admit that I wasn't out of time. So they made me suffer for maybe 5 weeks in distress, making me think they're not even going to take my case before they agreed to take it. But then even when they took it, and I jumped through their hoops, I was abused even more down the line when they found an excuse. This investigator, Eleanor Yates, found an excuse to dismiss my case using a fraudulent, crooked scheme rule that the Legal Ombudsman scheme has. This scheme rule is called Scheme Rule 5.7N. Scheme Rule 5.7N. And this scheme rule, they've deliberately put into their scheme rules so that they can find any excuse to dismiss a complaint they want to get rid of. Because they, in their scheme rules, the Legal Ombudsman scheme rules, it's called a scheme. And it is a scheme, the Legal Ombudsman scheme is a scheme in more ways than one. It's the scheme in the way that they've schemed to find ways to get rid of victims of solicitors. Find a way to get rid of them, find a way. Basically, the Legal Ombudsman is a rubbish bin for them to put complaints into. A rubbish bin for them to put complaints into. You know, let's see. So what was I saying? Yes, this scheme, that there are 14 scheme rules, or sub-scheme rules, that there's 14 reasons in the Legal Ombudsman scheme rules to for them to dismiss complaints. There's 14 reasons in their scheme rules for them to dismiss complaints. That's when they dismiss without giving a decision, without fully investigating, without. It's as though that you've never been to them because they haven't made a decision. You know, and you may have spent weeks giving them evidence, and at the end of it they dismiss your complaint as though you have never even been to them. You may as well have not been to them. They don't record the decision. They don't even record that they haven't upheld your complaint. So there's 14 reasons in their scheme rules to dismiss complaints. But only 13 of those are valid, concrete reasons. The 14th reason is a very vague catch-all that they use to make up any reason to dismiss your complaint. The 14th reason states that an ombudsman may, but in brackets, but does not have to, dismiss a complaint if, in his or her opinion, and that's key, if in his or her opinion there are other compelling reasons other than the first 13 reasons to dismiss a complaint. So you got the 13 reasons, then you've got a 14th reason that basically if there are other reasons outside the 13 compelling reasons, any reason that's not in there to dismiss the complaint, they can make up any reason outside those first 13 reasons to dismiss the complaint and say it's compelling. Because even if the reason is not compelling, according to this crooked scheme rule, this corrupt scheme rule, which is like a loophole, they can say, an ombudsman or ombudswoman can say, in my opinion, my reason is compelling. Because, so they can just say, my reason is compelling because it's my opinion that it's compelling. What a crook. What corruption. In their opinion. And of course, this legal ombudsman, they are 80% funded by the solicitors who they're supposed to be investigating. 80% funded by the solicitors and barristers. 80%. 80% of the legal ombudsman funding comes from the Law Society, which is the solicitors and barristers club. So it's case over right there. The whole thing is corrupt right there. When they're funded by those they're supposed to be investigating, those they're supposed to be seeking justice on the client's behalf against, have funded them. Utterly corrupt, utterly crooked system. This England is an utterly